Allegedly.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, or maybe the dead of night. Welcome to Allegedly. I'm Joe, and we have...
I'm Taylor.
Still Taylor.
Still Taylor.
And we are blocking out the haters and the blue light.
The future is bright. The future's bright.
So bright we both need shades.
Yeah. Happy to be here. Pumped for episode 3. Pleased to share we've gone global. We're now, we're now broadcasting in 150 languages.
Yes. With the help of AI.
With the help of AI. So, we have a lot of good stuff teed up for this episode. I wanted to start with sharing some remarkable news I read about.
Yeah, you wanted to keep me in the dark for my full-fledged initial react.
So, the news is, it was just announced today that there is a woman with Down syndrome who is the first woman to pass the bar, and she's going to be a lawyer. And okay, I'll just say, I hope she proves me wrong. Okay, but if they're ever like,
So wait a second, no women have ever passed the bar before?
yeah, it had nothing to do with their Down syndrome. But if they're like, if they're like your public defender, and I turn and my public defender is a woman with Down syndrome, I'm just...
If I turn and my lawyer is a woman at all, I'm doing...
Plea deal.
Get me a rosary, please.
So if you, I feel like if you want 90 years for a speeding ticket, you could bring her onto the team.
You know what? I need to... This is actually a very, very good opportunity to enlighten you. I don't think I've had this conversation with you. Maybe I have. It's sort of a it's pseudoscientific. It's unresearched to my knowledge, but it comes from my buddy's dad. God rest his soul. He passed away a few years ago. He was like a world-class spine surgeon. He was like one of the top orthopedic spine surgeons in the United States, possibly in the world. And a few years before he passed, I would see him. I needed a monthly injection, and it was something that like I would just go to the fucking pharmacy and pick it up, and I would see him once a month, and we would spend usually a good like 45 minutes to an hour plus together, and we would always talk about interesting stuff. He was like a second dad, but very brilliant scientifically, medically, great sense of humor. But this wasn't even a joke. And he introduced this concept to me very seriously. And like granted, he's literally a doctor who does some of the craziest surgeries out there. And he walked me through how with Down syndrome, you have an entire extra chromosome. But what biologically separates men and women is men are XY,
okay,
and women are XX,
yep,
which gives them a little bit more chromosomes.
The X.
There's more chromosome in women's DNA than there is in men's. So having an entire extra chromosome is the phenomenon of mental retardation or Down syndrome. So what his theory is, I think you're already picking up on this, is that biologically and genetically, all women are mildly retarded. Because they have more chromosome than men. So genetically, on a biological, immutable scale, because of the function they must perform, God has retarded women at the genetic level.
What does Ben Shapiro say? Facts don't care about your feelings.
And when we hashed it out, I'm like, oh, no fucking way.
Yeah.
Because like even women, now granted they're going to be a little bit less, feminazi or liberalized, will kind of be like, oh, tracks. Oopsies. We lost something. Right. But yeah, so I'm really glad you brought that up because that's why I made the joke, have no women ever passed before. But it blows my mind, and I love bringing it up now with people because the first time they hear it, they're like, oh, no way.
Yeah, that actually tracks. Wow. That's pretty remarkable.
Their biological role is to deal with tired men and hungry kids. It makes sense that, being a little, having a little nerfing going on helps you
Yeah.
do that job.
It turns down the volume of your environment.
But yeah, so I had to get that out.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm glad we both had we got to surprise react each other on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, how does a person?
Dude, I hope she proves me wrong. Like, listen, I made a...
Yeah, how does a person with Down syndrome pass
I don't know.
that?
Because
Because we're sold this, like, that it's very, very difficult for people with Down syndrome
this cartoon
to do
of
much.
people with Down syndrome.
Yeah.
I think people with Down syndrome are some of the nicest, most joyful people out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I did make that joke about she'd get you 90 years for a speeding ticket, but she'd plead down to 90 years for a speeding ticket.
Plead down is crazy. That's what are you doing 300 miles breaking land speed records in the residential zone?
You have tags on your plate.
Oh yeah.
But hey, I hope she proves me wrong. Like, I think, dude, she passed the bar before Kim Kardashian did.
Oh wow.
So I do think there's something about, like, whatever you put your mind to, you can do it.
Throwback to episode 1.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was that. I think what else do we have on the menu for today?
I think that you wanted to tell me a little bit about what you had heard about this gentleman who's doing Firefest Part 2, the Phoenix Fest.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so these videos have been coming up on my feed, and some people may have been seeing this, but Billy McFarland was the guy who basically became globally infamous because I think it was 2017 he launched Fire Festival, which was an absolute disaster. Like, the social media campaign was well funded. People got to this island and, like, they were being served cold grilled cheeses. The tents were a disaster. And
wasn't there an entire documentary released on how bad it was?
Yes.
Because so many people still had their phones, so there was actually a lot of found footage, and and there was actually dangerous shit that happened because there was such a lack of supplies and readiness. Yeah,
people got
and there was
stranded.
bad weather too,
bad
right?
Weather, yep, inclement weather. People got stranded there, and I think the humor of it all and why it went viral too is because there was an element of I think the internet gushing over these trust fund kids finding themselves in this absolute
survival situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Like literally going from, because I remember when I was a kid there were all these like worst case scenario books, like
quicksand.
There was a big sensation of like how to like survive this or get out of that, or if you're kidnapped or if you're trapped in the woods,
right.
or
there should have been something about how to overthrow the government when it's controlled by Israel. But I know how to escape quicksand.
I think there's a few books on that, but if you're caught reading them in public,
you get some lashings.
You get you get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so he did Fire Festival, and I think he did Fire Festival 2. Well, first of all, he went to federal prison on fraud.
Oh, so it was really bad. Really bad.
And he still has a $26 million restitution. And so
having a like uncancelable, you cannot bankrupt yourself,
discharge it,
promissory note to the tune of you need to make tens of millions of dollars before you even are solvent again, before you're broke. You need to come up with $27 million before you're even at zero again.
Generational debt.
Oopsies.
Whoops. Whoops. I made an oopsies.
Damn, son.
Yeah,
Where'd you find this?
So he was in federal prison, got out, and I think we take a guy like Billy. He wants to entertain. It's in his bones, his DNA.
That was what he was trying to do the first time.
It was. And he has not relinquished that dream. So in an effort to... yeah. In an effort to make the money to pay back the restitution, he's throwing yet another festival. And these videos started coming up on my feed where, I shit you not, the festival's in 4 days. He was... about 6 days ago, they still didn't have the stage built. And there were all these Honduran guys. Like, he got kicked out of the original place they were doing it in Mexico. The Mexican government was like, we have no record of this. I'm like, Billy.
Oh.
Billy.
Yeah.
Come on, William. William. And you know, they have like porta potties on a barge, and
Mm-hmm.
it just in real time, it's sort of like you're watching someone. It's like a car crash. You can't look away because he's committing the same. The anatomy of the fraud is exactly the same, and he's doing it all again. And I think Ja Rule was like headlining, and he's like, I had no idea I was headlining this. I mean, I'm telling you, it is like a
This
cartoon,
this
dude.
sounds to me like a guy who like skimmed like manifestation Twitter. This sounds to me like a guy who saw a bunch of stuff on Pinterest.
Yeah.
Like, set your goals and intentions. Like, if you write it to the universe will give it to you. So therefore, he's like, oh, I can just tell people Ja Rule is playing,
Yes.
and I'm gonna manifest it to happening. I can just say I'm having a festival.
Mm-hmm.
And call up a rental company
Mm-hmm.
and get some guys from. No, he's probably suffering as well because of the immigration crackdown. So getting the Hondurans from Home Depot is probably much more expensive and harder to do.
Yes.
At this point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it doesn't. What's the definition of insanity is like
Doing the
trying
same
the
thing
same
over
thing
and over and
and expecting different
results.
results. This
Yes.
sounds insane.
Exactly. But I think your point about manifestation is so astute because it's as if he created a mood board for this music festival.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you exactly like
Forgot to make some phone calls.
forgot to make some phone calls. Like 10 days ago, Ja Rule had no idea he was doing it. And now Ja Rule has apparently posted something about it on his Instagram.
Okay.
So like he is sort of the manifestation is working.
All right.
But in the past, we've seen Billy fail on the actual execution.
I'd love for this to like be some sort of underdog story,
Mm-hmm.
or even like maybe not. What if it's like a big like a PR stunt to where, because you can do a lot with social media. What if he's like trying to make it look bad on purpose to garner more attention?
Yeah.
He could be like, oh, I really fucked this up last time.
Mm-hmm.
This is what, let me make it look really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like, because like all press is good press.
Mm-hmm.
What if he's like doing sort of a reverse psychology, like telling the headliners and the performers, don't even act like I talked to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's make it seem like this is going to be a shit show,
Mm-hmm.
and then blow it out of the water. That'd be great. Probably not.
I think you're giving Billy a little too much credit. We'll have to. I'll add a video so people can see for themselves. But it is.
It looks
remarkable.
bad.
It looks really
You've
bad.
seen
Man.
video, yeah.
It looks really
Yep.
bad. But hey, that's my man of the week, Billy McFarland.
Billy McFarland.
So you're in our thoughts.
No relation to Seth MacFarlane, the actually
None.
very
Kind of look-
successful
yeah,
entertainer.
right. Yeah.
Who I think was from Connecticut or New England, and I think he went to Yale too.
Did he?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's got had an
He
amazing
referenced
career.
Highland Park Market in a few episodes, which is a very niche, like Connecticut, New England, like local grocery store chain. So,
Dude, so many powerhouses come out of New England. I mean, you have like all the actors from the town. You have Bill Burr, who's a pussy these days, but total pussy.
who's the other redhead who was great and became a pussy?
Carrot Top, just
my
he
God.
destroyed his body.
He's technically Mexican, but he's a redhead. Louis C.K.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Louis C.K. I believe is a Boston guy.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he dated my second grade computer teacher.
No way.
And she was so nerdy and like repulsive, but she used to always talk about the good old days with Louis.
I mean, he was a fucking sensation
I never loved his comedy.
when he first started.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah.
I
A
was
lot of people did.
I was an
Yeah.
initial fan.
hmm
Mostly because in an era where everyone was really tiptoeing, and this was right before Me Too, which he became like a victim of, and I
he
think
wasn't afraid to take his dick out.
yeah, but he also wasn't afraid to like say the N word or like you like go to the places where everybody else were like
But secretly, everyone was like, yeah,
yeah, yeah. I saw him live once actually before all the because every time it seems like a celebrity gets hit with like allegations or there's a scandal or something,
Mhm.
and they do eventually make it back, it's always like they went through a machine, and it's like you have the same person, but it's not the same personality.
The
And
clone.
yeah, I have I picked up a lot of euphemisms and like even some of the way I like the phrasing that I'll use in everyday conversation. I watched a lot of Chris D'Elia's podcast. It was one of my
Yes.
favorite.
Yes, dude.
Congratulations with Chris D'Elia.
He's a
Great
shell.
great bits,
Yep.
and he got hit with the whole Me Too thing. And I actually originally when he first came back, I was fairly happy with his some of his initial podcasts because like I got to the point where I started late with his podcast, and I went back and watched everything and caught up and was following it until the day he got canceled.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just one of those things where it didn't maintain the momentum after he got back. And
He lost his confidence.
yeah.
Yeah.
And things, and I mean, he's a married man with a kid, but like, there are plenty of comedians who navigate that
Mm-hmm.
gracefully. But yeah, it's like something where when someone you like goes through the public
The
dragging,
meat
flogging,
grinder.
scandal,
Mm-hmm.
the cancellation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how we got people from Boston.
Yeah. Dave Portnoy's another guy. Dave Portnoy seems to be immune to cancellation though, because he doesn't apologize. Like he got caught with those videos.
Do you think it's because he doesn't apologize?
I do.
Or do you think it's because he's a topic for another episode? We can go there later. But to shift gears a little bit, we're also doing something that we're probably going to have as a recurring theme is Taylor dropping bombs on me live with things that I am relatively unprepared for. It's called the McMartin Preschool Tragedy.
Yes. And I want to get into that a
Okay.
little. Brace yourselves. I just want to say,
Mm-hmm.
you are very well appointed tonight. The cufflinks, the detail on the glasses.
Thank you.
You said you looked like a cult leader, and I couldn't agree more. So well done.
Well, dress for the job you want.
All right, so the McMartin Preschool Tragedy. This is a crazy one, and I don't think, we're not going to get too bogged down in all of this episode, but it does touch on some heavy topics of satanic ritual abuse and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So to understand the McMartin Preschool Tragedy, I need to take you guys back to the 1980s. This was California. And the 1980s,
Probably just incredible to be there at that point in time.
incredible. Like pre-phones, key hatch, or whatever they call the key hatch communities.
Mm-hmm.
It was also characterized by what is now referred to as the Satanic Panic, where
That's the original like
the advent of serial killers,
Okay.
stuff like that. There was a
Yeah.
lot, I think Columbine was later in the 80s or 90s. Columbine was 90s.
Yeah, that blossomed out of the interesting social scape
Yes.
that formed.
Absolutely. And so it was this satanic panic, and there was a lot of sensationalism around Satanism. It just was, pop culturally.
Mm-hmm.
So this occurred at the McMartin Preschool. And the McMartin Preschool, this was in 1982.
Mm-hmm.
What happened is there were many kids who went to this preschool, and it was in a small town in California. And one of these kids reported to his mother that he had been sexually abused at the preschool. And his mother reported it to the sheriff of the town. And there was an investigation that went on. It was a teacher, Raymond Buckley. His mom, Peggy McMartin Buckley, was the one who owned the school.
Ah.
But it's sort of like that sick archetype of like the Bates Motel, like
Yeah.
the mother and the son. Really kind of creepy.
Yeah.
And so this kid reported it to his mom. The mom relayed that to the sheriff, and the sheriff wrote the families of present and past children who went to McMartin Elementary School. What this kid described was sexual abuse, some weird stuff about being taken to another location, and the sheriff wrote the families of the past and present, and over 400 children wrote back affirming that they had been victims not just of sexual abuse, but the stories involved during the day being taken in tunnels beneath the school to the triplex next door, where they were taken into the hills of this town, where men were dressed in robes, where animals were killed, where people were sexually abused, where blood was drinking, and where witches were flying.
Oh.
And there was reports of chanting, of candles, things like that. So sit with that for a second. It gets a lot crazier.
My word.
Yes. So this clearly was endemic to this community, and the parents didn't know. There was maybe suspicion about this is weird, that's weird, but all at once, all these families came forward, and
It's hard to explain that away too when you have, it's one thing even if you get a few dozen or a handful of families, but to have people over what seemingly is probably a not that condensed of a time period, all pseudo independent, like obviously there's prompting, but basically independently
yes,
confirming
yes,
the same, and that's the other thing. So everything was fairly similar in story,
yes,
and these are coming from children too, which you can coach kids, but there's various ways of uncovering coaching methods, things of that sort. I know one of them that's very basic, and this is with any sort of rehearsed lie, is just asking the person to tell the story backwards. So having them start at the end and work their way back to the beginning. Most people only rehearse their lies in one direction. But yeah, it's one of those things where these type of motifs not only come up in a lot of cases like this today, but have been around for a while.
Since the days of Babylon. Something
we could probably circle back to and touch on. I'd love to flesh this out. It was a whole story. I love to listen to a podcast called The Confessionals, and my buddy recommended it to me. And this guy does great work, and he has guests on, has them tell their like shocking true stories. And there's this guy who basically, like, in California, was lured out to this basically death cult in the middle of the desert in Joshua Tree, and reported seeing similar things, where it seemed like there were witches and vampires and like changelings, and there was like an unnatural force. There were people who were there who were like, what, like, where am I? Like, how do I get out of here? Like this, like, oh my God, the sun is gonna set again. Oh no, I need to get out. And it went from like creepy to him literally seeing like a green portal open in the sky, and there were people in black robes flying up in flying around, and like,
we're cooked, Chad.
And like he believed that he was actually meant to be sacrificed. And when he tried to leave and get away, he even felt like there was almost like a
gravity well,
force field, and the only way he could get through it, and he's not that religious guy, I'm getting goosebumps. It was like he was like, I believe in the power of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ walks with me. The power, I have the power of the Lord. Like Jesus, like I am blessed by the Lord Jesus. I walk with in the name of Jesus. Jesus isn't like having to recite and that gave him the strength to fight through what seemed like it was like a force field.
So it's so interesting. There's so much to talk about here. Another thing, just as an aside, in deep underground military bases where they keep cryptids and aliens and stuff like that, you have to sign an agreement that you can't utter the word Jesus Christ. That's like the biggest rule. Wow. Promise. So back into the McMartin Preschool. Yes. So what you talked about with child testimony strikes at the heart of this whole ordeal. This is why there are now rules and guidance around child testimony.
You mentioned that.
Yes.
This actually set up with how we deal with this today.
Exactly. So Ray and Peggy McMartin Buckley were put on trial separately. Okay. What happened is these children were interviewed. Professionals from some psychological association were flown in to interview these children. Okay. And their techniques were ultimately ripped to shreds by the state's defense. By the McMartin and Bucky's defense. But they used things like dolls, and they were accused of doing leading questions. But keep in mind that, as you said, the amount of children here it is irrefutable.
Yeah.
Independent of one another. And yes, you can guide children, but children, the signs that they were showing were that of traumatized children. Children don't have really the faculties to manufacture some complex lie about this. It's in some ways too fantastical.
And have congruent emotional responses.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So ultimately only 11 children testified at the trial.
Only 11.
Only 11. I know. So the state only allowed 11 children to be admitted.
11 is too many.
And here's the thing.
Is the point, but still, if there were hundreds, that's...
And with these satanic cults, and we can talk about stories in later episodes, oftentimes, like, they have pervaded institutions. So, like, the
Oh yeah,
prosecutor's office is corrupted.
yeah.
The sheriff's office is in on it in some cases.
Hmm.
We could talk all about child welfare and the state taking children from families. And that senator who rang the bell on it, and her husband were killed over it. She did a report basically saying Child Protective
Whoa.
Services is the biggest human trafficking organization in the country. Boom. Her
Yeah.
and her husband died by suicide, 2 gunshots to the back of the head type thing. Just crazy.
I love the yeah, they were found dead, no foul play suspected. It was a suicide with the
Right.
bullet holes in the
And
back
the
of the
camera
head.
wires cut. Like,
Yeah.
it's so in our face and just offensive. So this trial went on, and in the background here, I think this is important. So there was a very credible figure from the FBI, Ted Gunderson.
Hmm.
He he was the director of a swath of a regional area for the FBI, maybe the Southwest or some places in California.
Hmm.
Towards the end of his career, and certainly after he retired, he became consumed and was on the beat of satanic ritual abuse and child human trafficking. He toured and lectured all over the country about this. He said it's endemic. He said there are breeding farms. These children are auctioned off with numbers around their necks. They're flown to planes in different enclaves in the country, where they are then taken and abused and sacrificed.
Now you said breeding farms. Let's stop on that
Yeah.
real quick. Does that mean that there's basically sex trafficked
Women.
women
Yep.
who are basically kept alive
Yep.
as
Livestock.
livestock for just basically carrying children to term to be almost immediately abused?
Sacrificed at the altar.
Jesus crimson Lord.
It's, what's interesting with the Epstein stuff, we don't talk about his ranch in New Mexico. And I think that's where a lot
I
of his
didn't even
genetic
I didn't even know there was a ranch in
oh,
Mexico.
this is where all of his genetic experiments were happening. He had all the Nobel
Oh,
Peace Prize scientists.
yeah.
He had
Because didn't he want? I knew about the army. He like wanted to have like a bunch of children.
spread
that
his
were, like,
seed.
yeah.
Yep. This is all of it. All of it. And so in the background here, Ted Gunderson is advocating about this, and he gets on the beat of the McMartin Preschool tragedy, and he believes the children, and he's an advocate for these children and their families.
Mhm.
Raymond Buckley, so Peggy Martin Bucky, she's acquitted on all counts. In January 1990, after the jury deliberations in the first trial, Peggy McMartin Bucky was acquitted on all 20 counts of child sexual abuse that she faced.
Uh-huh.
Raymond Bucky, this was the longest and most expensive trial in American history.
Whoa.
And we don't hear about this.
Whoa.
It's right? Isn't that an interesting part?
Yeah, didn't know.
Exactly. We don't know about this. It was the longest and most expensive trial in American history. It was more complex and involved 2 separate trials. So the first trial ended in January of 1990.
Uh-huh.
He was acquitted on majority of counts. The jury acquitted him on 52 of the 65 charges against him. And it was a hung jury on the remaining counts, the remaining 13 charges. The majority of the jurors reportedly favored acquittal on those remaining counts as well. They tore these children to shreds. They excluded evidence from being admitted on the basis that these children were led to basically conjure up these fanciful things.
Now, I don't know if you know this or not, through any of your research or your notes, were they able to uncover any of these secondary locations? Were they able to excavate
Okay.
the tunnels?
Dude,
Are we getting there?
We're going to
or-
get there.
Okay.
I'm setting the stage
Sure,
for this.
okay.
And this is where our hero, Ted Gunderson, later comes in.
Okay.
So Raymond Bucky, eventually, following the second hung jury, the district's attorney's office decided not to pursue a third trial because the second one ended in a hung jury.
Okay.
They dropped all the charges against him. Okay. The school shut down and went into probate. And Ted Gunderson said, before you sell this school, because the state couldn't find any evidence of the tunnels or any artifacts of satanic ritual abuse. Okay. Ted Gunderson said, while this school's in probate, I'd like to have it for maybe 6 months or a year and fly in a world-class archaeology team from UCLA.
Whoa.
They spent like 4 months there, dude. Okay. What they found was irrefutable evidence that there had been tunnels and they were filled in. They found evidence that there were tunnels and they had been artificially filled in, effectively corroborating the testimony of the children. The children were not lying about the tunnels. The other thing he found a saucer with a pentagram on it. And Ted Gunderson went up into the woods where they found candle wax and signs of human activity
Oh,
where these children had testified this satanic ritual abuse was occurring.
oh my whoa.
Whoa. Is that not insane?
So, not only were there tunnels that were filled. Now this was in the '80s too, so I'm sure technology is even better now. I'm assuming like with that kind, with there being tunnels and then they're being filled in, there's a way to like use ground penetrating radar,
Absolutely.
lidar, etc., to show where they lead, where they
Yep.
were.
But I bet someone bought it who's never going to let that happen. And there are all these organizations that fund studies on child testimony
Mhm.
that are really just propped up by sickos to discredit children
Wow.
who testify about this stuff.
You.
Yeah. Oh, heavy stuff. I know. But that is the McMartin preschool tragedy. And how are you feeling? I mean, is your mind... What's your, like, initial...
I mean, the thing is, what this is though, it's a drop in the bucket, and really all it is, sad to say, it's just the first time that something like this, like the somebody fucked up. Like the people were. I'm absolutely positive that this was not like the first time that this stuff was going on. This was just the first time it got out in such a publicized way. I'm assuming most of the time, you know, like you said, they're in all the institutions. People kind of intercept. It doesn't even make it to trial. There aren't arrests that occur.
You get suicided.
Yeah, and it's just this was just a very small sliver and a peek behind the curtain as to a much more pervasive phenomenon that had been and still does occur. And I was in a little bit of a like round table the other day with a few of my friends, and you know, we were joking around about vampire stuff, and even like, well, the adrenochrome thing, like where the like children in a state of fear or panic, or the adrenalized blood is supposedly like very very addictive,
a youth elixir,
and yeah, and has all of these like properties, like these supernatural properties, but he pointed out that like just drinking blood in general is addictive. It's a very it's a very like dependence forming especially like you said, sacrificing animals. I'm sure they also, when you're sacrificing an animal, I'm sure there's an element of this adrenochrome process happening
for sure
with the dying animal as well.
Dude, voodoo, Wicca,
yeah,
all these sort of North African or West African and Caribbean practices. When Young Thug was on trial on those RICO charges, the feds busted in to some of his associates and found them dressed in black robes with goats in their backyard, slitting their throats.
Whew.
This stuff happens, and it's here's the thing though. Like you talked about how the McMartin preschool tragedy was the first time this busted wide open. No one knows about it, so in a way they've succeeded. I mean, this was the longest, most expensive trial in American history.
That never gets talked about.
Right, the pedestrian knowledge of it is goose egg.
Yeah. It's funny because I think I have actually heard about this before, but what I've heard is exactly that. It's the propaganda, it's the satanic panic, it's the everybody got their panties in a bunch over a big fat nothing burger. And it's funny how it's always like brushed aside. It's just like, oh, we looked into it. It's an example of mass hysteria.
Yes. I do the mass hysteria stuff.
Is what it boils down to for most people.
Absolutely.
And it's a way to like, it's also a way to shoehorn in like the acceptance of other things that you should be upset about, but like, you know, mass immigration,
right?
So things like that, like, oh, you're just giving in to like this mass hysteria. This isn't that bad.
Yeah,
it's like that. That's sort of like this sinister.
It's a gaslight.
yeah, gaslight, like gaslighting technique for the masses, like
Mm-hmm.
a way to don't pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Exactly, man. That's exactly
Um,
what this is.
yeah, it's so wild that like we've now had more peaks.
Mm-hmm.
We've had more and more and more peaks, and the 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 House of Cards has been, they've used all the super glue that they can.
Mm-hmm.
They've tried to build walls,
Mm-hmm.
and the wind and the rain are like ripping down
Mm-hmm.
the last remaining struggling sections.
Yeah, but
Uh,
there are a lot of people with cognitive dissonance, dude. And this not just with this stuff, but with a
mhm.
lot of the bullshit going on, where to contend with the fact that this stuff is real is actually too destabilizing for your worldview that you minimize it and say that's a fluke,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen. You see it all the time. I mean,
Mhm.
it's the whole Matrix thing.
Well, I mean, it's interesting too because when you look at something, what's there was a really popular Ozark,
Mm-hmm.
the Netflix series, where it's it had the premise is that there's this dude who's running a regular business, but he's actually money laundering for the cartels,
Mm-hmm.
and this is in your backyard,
Mm-hmm.
and it's stuff like that where,
Mm.
I think we were talking about this when we spoke about um, the stuff with Project Looking Glass, where it's not necessarily let's keep everything from everybody that's the masses can't know. It's let's flood it with information so nobody can parse what's true and what's not,
Mm-hmm.
and then hopefully people will revert back to exactly this, like it's too much, it's too overwhelming, I have to fucking pay my
Mm-hmm.
bills, I have to pay taxes,
Mm-hmm.
I which is
Yeah, yeah.
I have to make rent,
Mm-hmm.
I have children to get to school and to raise, so like to think about, holy shit, the business in my town center is laundering money for the cartels.
Mm-hmm.
The school that my nieces and nephews went to school to actually like ran a satanic child abuse ring. The fact that this stuff could be happening in every city, in every state,
Mm-hmm.
it's just because it evokes also this sort of feeling of powerlessness
Yes.
that I think people hate to perceive
But you know
about
what it does
themselves.
too? It drives you to embracing Jesus Christ. And just like,
Yeah.
wow, everything's so fucked up. You know? Like, everything, this is all Babylon.
Yeah, yeah.
This is all Babylon.
Which you can't utter in deep underground military
Yeah.
bases.
Fun. At the work icebreaker, anyone got a fun fact?
Yeah, yeah.
You can't utter Jesus Christ in deep underground military bases.
Which luckily I've always been pretty spiritual, and I've always found Jesus and Christianity in some way to be like pretty warm,
Yeah.
a great. I'm not like an evangelical Christian.
Mhm.
I was raised Catholic. I don't really go to Catholic mass,
The churches.
but having a sense of spirituality, especially based in Christian values and just Jesus himself, you don't really need to go to church to accept
Mm-hmm.
that spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny how it literally is. It like makes these people or entities recoil. Like
Right.
it really does drain the power,
Mm-hmm.
which is funny because like a lot of the vampire myth, like the crucifix,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man.
Um,
Absolutely.
but I forget where I was going with all of that.
Well, we can
No matter.
we can move on, march
Big
onward.
plug for Jesus,
Yeah, our sponsor,
my
Jesus
my
Christ.
homie in Christ.
Yeah.
I think I was going to say too. Just I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I like this from you. I'll mention it as much as I can. I remember like earlier conversations when we were first getting to know each other. It's like, well, what do I do? And it's just like you said something pretty profound. It's like just don't be afraid. Like
Mhm.
don't let the fear get to you. And it's okay to like have a sense of fear. It's okay to like have the human emotion of having something scare you, but don't stay in the fear.
Right.
That's how they win.
Exactly. You lean into that pure. Here's the thing: like you have to allow your ego to surrender to that more positive spirituality,
Yeah,
and say, "I'm actually going to plug myself into that, and that is where I'm going to derive my power and courage and strength from."
yeah.
Yeah.
to lighten the mood,
A
do
little
we
levity.
do we have the original post or tweet? I think I can pull it up. The auto pen
Oh my goodness
um,
gracious.
declaration. I
So
think
just
I
a
got
little
it right here.
background. We're
Yeah.
pulling this up. One of the big I was looking at videos of Biden at the end of his term
Hmm.
today. That guy was so retarded. Like
Almost performatively.
performatively retarded. Totally. Like
They're actually. Go ahead.
he couldn't sit for interviews.
No.
Man.
There was this amazing conspiracy theory that happened right at the end of his term, the beginning of Trump's, where I think it was in the middle of the regime change where Trump had won, and Biden just fucking comes out with this like mind blowing, like put together fucking speech, and it was like 2 minutes of him like standing upright, no stuttering, beautiful sentences,
The amount of amphetamines.
eloquently spoken. It's better than that. It's that this motherfucker was pissed at Biden, pissed at everybody who fucked over his family with everything with the Burisma and the stuff with Ukraine, and he threw it. And at the very end, he's like, "Oh yeah, I was faking it because like I just wanted to give the middle finger to all of you," and gives this blast off like completely out of character because he was fumbling the what's it called the debates.
Yes.
And that's why they pulled him. And then all of a sudden it's like, who is this guy?
Mhm.
And the conspiracy theory was he threw the game on purpose to fuck over everybody else and hand it to Trump on a silver platter, because he also wasn't, nobody was endorsing Kamala. That was another
He
huge
didn't want
faux
Kamala.
pas.
But I still think his mental faculties were blown. I hear what you're saying.
So, but what they were saying is that it was all an act,
Yeah.
and he did it to fuck everybody else
Yeah.
over, and now he's chilling, and he yeah.
Dude, at this point, I mean, we're on the Truman Show.
But yeah, go.
I told yeah.
Give the background on the auto pen stuff before I read this.
Kamala, the wine drunk mom. So.
But I loved that.
The idea is that
like,
his faculties
Yeah.
were completely depleted. He would sit for interviews, not be able to utter sentences, not even remember how many years he'd served as president.
mhm,
He would call his day after like 2 hours. He would sleep all day,
mhm.
eat ice cream, and probably diddle little kids. Like that was our president's schedule.
Potential deep dementia.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
And
Allegedly demented.
yes. So there's this technology called AutoPen, and it's mechanical, but this allows presidents to sign a lot of documents. So what happens is you harness a pen into this mechanical, like, moving gate, and you harness several other pens. And with the articulation of one of the pens, all the other pens move in synchronicity to that one. So you can lay out a bunch
Very
of papers and
steampunk.
do it that way. Yeah, very steampunk. Can you imagine Biden with steampunk goggles on? Just like they dress up this
tiny top hat,
this senile old man. Like,
tails.
he's like dressing up your dog. And so the idea, remember all these pardons were coming out, and they were like preventative pardons. They blanketed people in immunity for future crimes, which was unprecedented.
Yeah.
And all of Biden's insiders were getting these pardons. And these can be all the people that were maybe involved in the 2020 election, the opening. Remember, the border was completely opened
Mhm.
by by our Department of Homeland Security, whatever that guy's name is, Alex something. He was like Hispanic or something. And the idea was that all these pardons came out, and the signatures weren't quite Biden's actual signature when they were all released. And this was like a 12th hour pardon of all these people before he left office. So Trump came in, and I'm going to let you talk about what just happened today. But for a while, there's been these grumblings about like, oh, these pardons are actually invalid because they were signed with an auto pen.
Yeah.
And legal experts were going back and forth about, well, a president's document signed by auto pen is legitimate, but the question was Biden even aware these people were signing these pardons and other documents via auto pen?
Yeah.
So take it away.
So today, this statement was released.
Was this on?
I believe Truth Social, which is I believe Trump's. I don't have an account. I should get one just to fucking
See what's on there.
see what's going on.
Yeah.
Just to follow, just to be there for Trump's sort of, but because It's where he releases everything first that isn't an official statement in front of the press.
I bet that's such a psychedelic experience going on to Truth Social because we get these little glimpses into it with his tweets. But the people who are on, I mean, it's probably just insane.
Yeah, and then the type of people who are like, because it's a whole social media. I haven't even dipped my toe in, so that could be, I guess, yeah. Will rewire my brain in a very special way. So the statement goes: any and all documents, proclamations, executive orders, memorandums, or contracts signed by order of the now infamous and unauthorized "quote unquote" auto pen in all caps within the administration of Joseph R. Biden Jr. are hereby null, void, and of no further force or effect. Anyone receiving "quote unquote" pardons or "quote unquote" commutations or any other legal document so signed, please be advised that said document has been fully and completely terminated and is of no legal effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Bombshell.
Oh, I mean, dude, part of it, because I feel like I've been so disappointed by these big moves to like hold truth to power and drain the swamp.
Yeah.
And it was like my relationship with my last ex-girlfriend where she would kick the shit out of me and she'd show up as a nice girl and I'd be like, oh, maybe actually she does love me. I am hopeful for this though. I mean, I think they're talking about John Brennan actually getting charged for the Russiagate stuff. I hope something comes out of this. I mean, this is a bombshell.
Yeah.
If this is true. It's a bombshell.
I mean, I think I've said something along the lines of what I'm about to say before, but we live day to day where we'll get so many headlines that, like, even when I was a kid, you'd get, maybe you could count on two hands the type of news that we get every single day now. And it has a lot to do with the fact that we're so incredibly connected and everything is very out in the open. Nothing can happen without somebody finding out about it. Like, even to the point where, what used to be probably decently hard work for even tabloid writers to get personal information, I mean, most people will share more than tabloid writers could get their hands on in the 90s and the early 2000s. So we live in this era of just
nakedness
and also earth-shattering biblical events happening on a daily basis to where it's hard to even fully comprehend the magnitude of the times in which we live. Because it's desensitizing in the same way that, like, somebody who drinks a lot or does drugs or even takes, like, certain medications or supplements will become they'll develop a tolerance. I think a lot of people, especially in the West, have just an incredibly high threshold for novelty and just absolutely absurd, incredible things happening day in and day out. It's like this happening even in, like, the Bush administration. This would have been biblical. And for a lot of people, a blip today.
Oh, like, yeah, the big scandal used to be Clinton fucked his secretary. and now it's like all our politicians go to Epstein Island.
Yeah.
Oh, we got some sirens in the background.
The
FBI is coming for us. But, dude,
they found us.
Yeah, the jig is up.
Made the call.
I mean, if AutoPen renders documents invalid, I'm going to start signing my tax forms with AutoPen and just be like, yeah, it's null and void. Or signing checks with AutoPen.
That's so funny. What about the other deeper implications of this? Because was an AutoPen ever used prior to the Biden administration? And also, do other industries use some form of AutoPen? Does this cause ripples
It's a great question. So I did look into this.
Okay.
So AutoPen has been around for a while. I think since the 90s or maybe 80s.
Okay.
The law is pretty clear on this. Like the executive, and this goes for Fortune 500 companies or any companies too, can delegate signatory authority to their deputies.
Okay.
And so you can send these documents for me. But there has to be a clear direction issued by the executive.
Okay.
When it comes to the president, yes, a lot of documents are signed by AutoPen. The president is signing, he's the executive. He's signing laws, documents, executive orders all day. And so the AutoPen is frequently used. I think you raise a very important point, like what is the precedent set here? And retroactively, what does this do to previous documents signed by AutoPen?
Yeah.
The big distinction with Biden, according to legal experts, is whether or not he had even the wherewithal to direct these signatures. Was he completely devoid of mental faculties?
Yeah.
And like Jake Tapper came out with that book after the Biden administration, basically concluding that Biden was, mentally senile. And he's like, we missed all the signs when I was reporting at the White House. The whole thing is just a bullshit press story.
Yeah.
But the guy was losing his mind, and we were all gaslit into thinking he wasn't. And, I don't know what this means. I mean, they tried to put Trump in prison. Like
More than once.
More than once.
First over Russia.
Yep.
And then over what was the? I mean, he got arrested.
The real estate
he got
stuff,
arrested, right?
The documents.
There was a mugshot.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like that's history.
That's
like
crazy.
The president just grimacing. I mean,
there was a.
They tried to kill him.
Oh my! At least twice.
Which actually, I think this could be a nice segue because you have an interesting thing about the water, but I want to talk about my interaction with the Secret Service agent today.
Cool. What's funny, and this is great because you mentioned I'm glad you brought it up. The assassination attempt and what is currently going on with his administration and the steps he needs to continue to take. And I saw somebody point out that it might not be such a coincidence that literally what saved his life was him turning his head to look at a graphic of immigration statistics. And now he's done this moratorium on immigration from third world countries and a complete review of the visa status from a bunch of immigrants from
third world.
From a lot of countries.
Except India. Except India.
That may be a strategic move. It may need its own task force with biohazard suits.
We need more bodies.
we need more PPE. We need
a dedicated bureau
from COVID.
The Indian Immigration Bureau.
But yeah, share with us what you.
So this was delightful.
Yeah.
So I work at a hotel right now. I'm not going to say which hotel. But I work at the front desk and I check people in.
It's the one John Wick goes to.
It's the one John Wick goes to. Yeah, exactly. And it's pretty funny. Like, I'm pretty steeped in this conspiracy stuff. And did I share on the other podcast how this, like, white liberal woman came in and she was complaining that her brother's college roommate from Bowdoin, who was from Pakistan, was sending him all this conspiratorial stuff. And she's like looking to me to like affirm her frustration, and I have like anarchist manifesto pulled up on the screen right across. I'm like, lady, you're talking to the wrong guy.
Yeah. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna be like, oh, the poor thing. This
right.
is
what a sick man. Yeah. So I meet some interesting people, and I was checking in these women today, and behind I was like recommending a pizza place, and this guy was nodding, and he sort of had a sheriff's badge on his windbreaker. It actually looked like a U.S. Marshal's badge. So he got up and to the front desk, and I was checking him in. I'm like, I have to ask, are you U.S. Marshal? Mm-hmm. And he was like, no, I was in the Secret Service for 30 years.
Whoa. He's seen.
Oh, dude. Okay. So I mean, in a delicate way, I'm not so socially inept that I'm going to like waterboard someone with politics.
Sure.
But I asked him questions about his job. I'm like, that's really amazing. He sells drapery rods now, which is kind of probably milks a fat government pension.
Yeah.
But so 30 years in the Secret Service, and I said, wow, were you doing some of the forgery and cash stuff? Because the Secret Service was originally incorporated to deal with cash and currency. And he said, no, those are the agents. Thank God I wasn't that. I was on I was one of the guys in the white suits at the White House, like sniper patrol.
Whoa.
So he spent 30 years. He was stationed at the White House and the vice presidency residence, and he was a sniper there.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So here I mean, picture me. You know, I love all this stuff. We're talking about the Trump assassination. I'm like, here's my guy. Like, you know, I can peruse all the Reddit forums I want to. Here's a guy who spent dedicated 30 years of his life to the Secret Service.
Yeah.
I can probably get some truth out of this guy. So I'm checking him in, and I'm like, you know, I want to keep this apolitical here, but I am just curious. The Butler, Pennsylvania shooting, and he immediately, like, you know, give me that look where I start to get a boner, and I'm thinking about saluting him. Like, I don't really know what to do. I feel seen, like we're sort of connecting on some level.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what was that all about? And he goes, it was such an embarrassment on the part of the Secret Service. And I said, I can understand that. I appreciate that. I said, you know, is it really the case that it was a series of negligence, one after the other, in like a succession of 10? Because he said before that, he goes, this head of the Secret Service, what an embarrassment. She said they secure perimeters of 150 yards. He goes, he was so serious. He got like animated. It's always 300 yards. No matter the person we're guarding, it's always the case. He goes, we always guarded 300 yards. So she was lying. He said she was straight up lying.
Wow.
And he got passionate about that. And so I said, are we to believe that this was just a series of negligent actions one after the other? Or was it deliberate? Because I said that sounds like a lot of mistakes for an organization as professional and professionally trained as the Secret Service to make.
Absolutely.
And he goes, it was on purpose. And I check him in, and he's digging through his bag, and he goes, here, I want you to have this. And he goes, I don't have many of these left. But he hands me a United States Secret Service coin,
Whoa.
Department of Homeland Security.
Like a challenge coin. Whoa.
Like a challenge coin.
Whoa.
So
Look at this.
I'm pleased. I feel like he didn't say it explicitly, but I'm now deputized.
Yeah.
And I can carry a gun. And but
well,
I
you
mean,
definitely have the blessing of something. Like I'm also we talk all about the the deep state and the cabal and draining the swamp, but I also am very, very white-pilled in the sense where I feel like not everything is completely rotten.
Yes.
And there are, in fact, more good men in high places than anybody ever wants to acknowledge.
Yes.
At all.
There are patriots.
It's one of those things where if there wouldn't be a reason to fight.
Yes.
These people wouldn't constantly feel the need to shovel the propaganda and to continue to claw
Great point.
at the normalcy, and it wouldn't really feel like they feel threatened. And clearly there are people in power that feel threatened.
They're the real counterforce. I'm so glad you brought that up, actually, because it's such a reason to be optimistic.
Yes.
I think the problem structurally is that these good people get subverted by our system of compartmentalization. And Truman, when he left the presidency, in his last speech, gave a forewarning. He said, beware the military-industrial complex. Because what happened with the military-industrial complex and the intelligence services is there was a system of compartmentalization introduced.
Yes.
Where, say reverse engineered UFO crafts. One team was working on propulsion, one on navigational systems. They didn't communicate with one another.
Yeah.
To tie this to the Butler shooting, on the day of the shooting, the local police was told to get on a different radio channel than the Secret Service. So the bad apples and actors subvert these people in a way where you can't see the forest for the trees.
Absolutely.
Right? So absolutely there's a patriotic spirit. And I think absolutely in hindsight, there are good patriotic Americans who can retroactively look at this stuff and go, yeah, that was on purpose.
Yeah.
And he said to me, I was always drilled into us, the role of Secret Service was to protect the presidency, not the president. We were there to guard the presidency, not the president. Wow. And I loved that.
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah. An idea is stronger than a man.
Amen.
So that's incredible. I've always had my fair share of run-ins with your severely interesting human being, and it's always fun, especially if you get a little
trinket
souvenir. Yeah. Souvenirs are awesome. I love people who carry shit like that too. I want to get in the habit of
that. Such a good point. Like if you can carry a trinket and give that, it's better than a tip.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we should mint some battle.
We gotta make some allegedly coins.
Yeah.
Or just get some of these and lie to people. Imagine, dude, I want a fucking suitcase that has like a flap that like goes down like just folds out with challenge coins from every possible. I want Freemasonic ones. I want
FBI, CIA,
FBI. I want
NSA.
I want Interpol,
Naval Intelligence.
Yeah, I want MI6.
Yeah.
I want weird organizations from the Middle East and Japan.
NATO.
I want to be a new guy every day, and so some wonderful human being can go home with a story about this guy that they met. And none of it's true. But they have the coin.
I met this schizophrenic guy today who had a bunch of coins and was stealing Valor. He insisted he was FBI.
Well, we would have to get a lot of pins too, so people could chat us up on it first.
Eventually, it winds up with full military garb. We're wearing full dress wear, marine blues. This is the slippery slope into stolen valor. You start with battle coins, and one day you wake up in dress blues.
Oh my god! So now that we've lightened the mood a little bit, so there's this really I'm all over the internet. I always find these some of them have severe mental illness, but they're entertaining. Some of them are doing good work. Some people dig into stuff that like not a lot of people even know about, and I believe it's an anonymous account. They go, but they're on Twitter mostly. This is where I first found them. The name is Ngolo. The app is Ngolo Tesla. NGOLO TESLA, and I've been following this guy for a while. My first. When I first found his account, he has this very cool website, and this guy is seemingly like very serious about. It's called exoscience.com, and he is what's there's not an electrician. He came up with another word for it, but he obviously knows his way around mathematics, electronics, electricity. Signal flow. This is a man who's doing real experiments. This is a guy who is on par with like a literal Tesla. When he uses Tesla in his name, he is not doing any shame. Like Elon Musk shames Tesla into the ground compared to what this man is actually doing in the field of real hands-on experimentation. Like
it's very esoteric.
And it is. It's the esoteric side of science, which I've always really loved because
I think that's the real science.
Yeah, the whole what came out of COVID was a very strange and almost demonic ideal of the science being settled. Settled science has never been a thing.
Right.
The whole like reason there even is science is because it's definitely not. Most of the science, when we thought it was settled, wasn't even fucking close.
Quantum science came along. And
look at astronomy, for example. You had, I think, Copernicus didn't even think that there was... Was it Copernicus who didn't think it was helium? I mean, we went from thinking that the Earth was the center of the universe to, okay, we don't think it's the Earth anymore, but we think the sun is the center of the universe, to then thinking like, okay, the Milky Way, that's it, and then realizing to
realizing now it's all flat.
Yeah. But I mean, we like science has been a stepwise progress, sometimes with much larger steps than others, but it's never been settled. Like, I mean, if it was settled in the Roman times, we would still be reverting to the humors.
Yes, yeah, right.
Phlegm, bile, and
like leeches.
Yeah,
I give the universe more credit too.
Yeah,
like this place is magical, and of course, it's going to lead us on these amazing quests of constant perpetual discovery. Yeah,
Which is like probably the point,
it's
really.
yes,
Like
dude.
the literal
That is what it's all about.
like significance of like why we're here.
Yes.
So I mean, let me just go through some of these, and I'll read a little bit of these, and then there's a recent discovery that this man has made that I am just so excited for. That I'm like, apparently, you and I could potentially even acquire the equipment to reproduce his experiments and try them out for ourselves before he makes this available.
Real quick,
yes,
so I love that. We have Mindfold we have to do. We have to translate Stephen Hawking and
Yes.
Helen Keller.
Okay.
And now we have these experiments.
Yes, yeah, we're going
to
to recreate these. So, I mean, I'm going to go through some of the just the headers, and then I'll read some of the stuff from the website, and then I'll get to his most recent discovery. So this is right. Anybody who knows me knows this shit's right up my alley. First one, sounds that can heal. When you open up the site, it's actually playing something that's tuned. I'm playing it right now to 528 hertz. So 528 hertz is actually like has scientific studies that have been done that show that it has legitimate healing properties.
And this is one of the solfeggio frequencies.
Yes, yeah.
Where in cymatics, if you put sand on a speaker and play 528 hertz, it assembles into sacred geometrical
correct
patterns.
Yes. So that's one of them. He has what is called the Parascientific Compendium, which is one of these iceberg charts. One of the most fascinating iceberg charts. I'll read some of the stuff from that in a second. Grounding, the hidden key to health. You can choose how your face looks. Like this is pre-looks maxing.
Whoa.
This is like becoming consciously aware of the way that your face sits and like setting intentionality. Raw eggs equals shampoo. Some very basic stuff. Fluoride, bromine, and iodine. What is orgone energy? What they don't want you to know about water. This goes into some of the stuff like the Masaru Emoto, like structuring your water, the intentionality with water. Stop EMF with orgonite. I believe we talked about orgonite before. This pendant, funny enough, is an orgonite pendant. What your eyes reveal about your health. This is something that's becoming more mainstream.
It's a whole study.
Iridology.
Yes. The same with your ear or your feet. People can do it. These are ancient Eastern medicinal practices.
Yep.
Where the body is an amazing machine. Where I want you to talk more about this, but as I understand it,
we can do a whole bit on this.
Whole thing. But in just a little brief introduction, doing things as simple as looking at the eye or looking at the ear or feet. I've done a treatment where this woman felt my foot.
Reflexology.
Yes. And was like, wow, you are not getting enough water.
I bumped into a woman at the owl shop who looked at my palm and was like, you like to eat a lot of soft cheeses. And I'm like, that's crazy that you know that. Because I love goat cheese and feta.
Love goat cheese. Love goat cheese.
I'm like, from just looking at the way that my palm sat. These are the last three are bangers.
Hear it.
Can you affect random chance? Question mark. 1,000 plus peer-reviewed studies on vaccine dangers, and black holes are not real. They can't hurt you. So I mean, we have infinity content just from his original website. So with orgonite, he kind of he goes into orgonite is a simple device made from polyester or epoxy plastic, metal shavings, or powder, and at least one pointed quartz. It's used to transmute negative to positive energy. Typically, this refers to EMF sources, such as Wi-Fi routers, phones, computers, and cell towers, but also seems to work on an emotional level. You know how you sometimes step into a room and feel negative energy in the air before you even realize who it's coming from and why? That's what negative energy feels like. The opposite of, say, visiting a church or a waterfall. It is possible for your body to transform negative to positive, and he goes into how it's made, how does it work. The real quick, so since metal attracts orgone energy, the metal inside orgonite will draw energy into it. Metal cannot hold a charge, so it will instantly bounce it out in all directions. Since there's not one piece of metal inside the orgonite, but hundreds or thousands, the orgone charge zips back and forth inside the orgonite many, many times. Every time the energy moves, it resonates through the quartz-treated plastic. These properties make orgonite the ideal way of transmuting negative, stagnant energy into positive energy.
So it like structures the energy.
So yeah, if you look, you see all of these metal shavings. You see there's the quartz crystal that's like the sort of negative space there. This also has a little bit of ornamentation in it.
Mm-hmm.
What's so funny about this necklace and this pendant in particular, I have been a big. I always have flashy outfits. My whole life I've loved like very, very ornate. I've worn jewelry, I've worn necklaces, I've worn rings, I've worn bracelets. I have never, ever, ever received, and so a lot of times this is all I usually wear. I don't, and it's like it's just one thing. It's fairly simple. I've never ever gotten more attention. Like it's like orders of magnitude more comments and compliments on this piece itself than anything else. Which to me, I'm like, there's gotta be the energy part of it has got to be. It can't just be it looks pretty,
Right?
Because to me, it's kind of basic looking even.
I think it's pretty cool, but I hear what you're saying.
But yeah, it's not like a big fat ruby or like something
a Flavor Flav.
Yeah,
big,
yeah,
like...
or a big sort of complex piece.
Yeah,
it's fairly simple. Yeah, it's kind of unique, but the like I've gotten comments and compliments on all sorts of stuff that I've worn. Never like it's like there's almost this like glinted like even the look in people's eye. They're like, what is that? It's almost like they're like, I feel different. So he talks about, you know, this stuff. Orgonite, you can choose how your face looks. Your face is the outward reflection of your emotional state. Frequent feelings solidify into permanent features. This is the mechanism of physiognomy. I was born with a resting bitch face. No, you are a bitch.
Ah. Wow.
Keep making that face and it'll get stuck like that, is what they say, and that is exactly how it works. Most people strive to be better. This is strictly an internal process for almost everyone. I must be more kind. You should simultaneously work the external angle as well. I must smile more.
Dude, that's so brilliant. And, you know, I'm never really conscious of this, but I encounter people in my life who have, you know, crow's feet from smiling or smile lines, and they are genuinely wonderful people to be around. I mean, there's a correlation there, absolutely.
Yeah. So he has something about grounding too, which we can get into. That's just, you know, he also even discovered air grounding, which is like driving with your windows down, or even if you can't touch the ground, like in the wintertime, wild, whatever that is. Living in the city is crazy. But like if you can put your windows down a little bit in the winter, or if you can get fresh air or a breeze or anything like that, that also is a mechanism of becoming grounded, because it's not just touching the earth; it's the
positive ions.
Positive ions in the air, or I'm sorry, the negative ions are what are. It's weird because negative is associated with not good, but with as far as like water and electricity, negative is the healing source, which brings us to his most recent purported discovery, which is blessed water. And then I will end with me reading down the Parascientific Compendium iceberg chart. And just, I mean, there's so many, it would take a long time. I'll read off a few of my favorites from each one.
Please.
But with the blessed water, what it appears he has discovered, and what apparently people have been replicating, is a way to create very meaningful amounts of negatively charged water. Which, if you were to go to, say, waterfall, or, for example, the rain, the reason why rain feels like it has like a sort of like this sort of resetting effect. Like getting caught in the rain sometimes can feel like really, really good. It's healing. Like there was this video that went viral recently of this horse that wouldn't get out of the rain, and it's blessed water. That's the effect. Or like even going to the ocean, the beach, the waves constantly crashing on the shore. That the sort of atomization and the particleization of water in that way, even fog, like a deep mist, can have this very wonderful feeling to it.
And just real quick, we were talking like it's illegal to capture rainwater in many states, which is insane.
Which is like the way nature creates like the blessed water.
Yeah, and they give some bullshit reason the water needs to go back in. It's not, I think there's something deeper, more spiritual.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So there is this and people apparently have been replicating it, and he has all of these. A lot of it's conjecture because it's just his own reporting. Um, so one of the things he said recently, drinking blessed water was amazing, beyond my wildest expectations, downright miraculous. But there are many ways it can go very wrong, so I urge everyone to be super excited yet patient. The good part? Time goes half the speed for me now. Day is twice as long. Very good mood.
Sage.
This man is like,
An ascended master.
Some of them are hidden, but maybe sometimes they just have to have an anonymous Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Oh
I'm almost
gosh.
at the blessed water production scale that I can start bottling and shipping. It's more about logistics now than esoteric stuff. We'll be hand making everything myself and sending from Sweden globally. First bottle, free plus shipping. So this man is also just literally a philanthropist. He almost actually went under recently. A few months back, I was so friggin' upset because he was like, "That's it. I'm cooked. I'm finished. I'm out of money. I've run myself into the ground. Goodbye," basically. And so there was such an outpouring of support for this man that someone actually helped him set up a store. So he has like something called the Healthiest website. We're not being paid to like plug this, but people are helping him make amazing products and like do affiliate links for really good healthy things on Amazon just to get him back on his feet and helping him monetize his Twitter. And basically, I'm sure he got donations too privately. But this man, so many people were like, "You are not going anywhere, sir." And then he comes back. I'm getting goosebumps. And he makes this discovery within months. When I was a child, I told everyone for years a prophecy. I would invent, quote unquote, flying electricity all around us. And I will quote, and quote, I will show the world that we do not need cables to get electricity. It is only today that I realize that this was about negatively charged blessed water ions. Mind-blowing.
Come on.
Okay, so he's talking about one of his group chats. Group chat theorizing that blessed water is the same as the biblical manna, the Aryan soma, the fountain of youth, the Greek ambrosia. Surely not all four, but probably more than one is my guess.
That I love. I mean, that's remarkable. And I'd also heard that. Yeah. Hang on.
So this is like the world we live in.
Amazing. I mean, on one hand, AutoPen's getting absolutely nerfed, and we have this guy discovering structured water, and I'm meeting Secret Service agents. The world is a movie, dude. The world is a movie. That's so interesting. My only encounter with manna before. We talked a little bit about this.
Something that resembles it,
with monoatomic gold.
Which I have experience with as well. Tell me, how did you even find out about it?
So monoatomic gold, like the reality transferring book or this other stuff, I feel like you encounter it and it's not by chance. It meets you when you're ready.
Yeah.
It's like that saying, the master appears when the student opens his ears or is ready. Mm-hmm. And so I was down this esoteric rabbit hole. I found monoatomic gold. And the research I did on it is it's single ion salt, or single atom gold that is harvested, I think, from maybe the Dead Sea or places in the Middle East.
So I have a buddy of mine who introduced me to it. He's super, super down the rabbit hole. Essentially, he knows about the process, and he walked me through it a little bit. He's never made it, but it's basically a way of like further distilling sea salt, like a Celtic sea salt or a Dead Sea salt, to where you've removed all of the chlorides and the magnesium chloride, like all of the salt elements are removed, and now you're just left with the monoatomic minerals.
Yes.
Which have some of the highest concentrations of naturally occurring monoatomic gold.
Okay. So it's in hieroglyphs where there are these beings, these people, humanoids, holding these platters of this powder. There are fables about it in Egypt. And the idea is that when you ingest monoatomic gold is a metal, it's a transducer. Mm-hmm. It works, and once you saturate yourself with it, it allegedly synchronizes the left and right hemispheres of your brain and induces what some spiritual disciplines refer to as a Kundalini awakening, where that Kundalini energy
Yes.
goes from the base of your spine.
Mm-hmm.
You have 33 vertebrae. There's a
Yep.
tomb at the bottom of your spine, right? Jesus was 33 years old, spent 3 days in the tomb.
33rd
Or if you don't
degree
jerk,
Freemasonry.
33rd degree Freemason, if you don't jerk off for a month, that energy reemerges and ascends up your spine, depicted by the serpents. The knowledge
Yes.
enters the hippocampus and pineal gland, the serotonin and DMT, the land of milk and honey, and your third eye is opened. I tried this. I know you have an experience too. I want to hear about. And we'll get back to the water too. But I just
Yeah.
wanted to,
Oh
felt
no,
compelled
no,
to
this
share
is
this.
perfect. Yeah.
I was doing this for probably 6 months, and man,
Yep.
for one, uh, for for a for like 4 days. I was in New York City, and the world became so strange, and it felt like I was in the Truman Show.
Yeah.
And I was sober at the time. I'm now committed to being sober, but
Yeah.
I struggled with that for a while. And it was like reality was bending to my will. I checked out at the grocery store, and the woman went out of her way to be like, "Oh, Taylor, I love that's a beautiful name." And it felt like reality was just working for me.
Yes.
And I was harmonized with everything.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a deep feeling of intuition and understanding and connectedness with the world. And as if the world had revealed the beauty
Yeah.
and the amazing orchestration of itself
Yeah.
to me. Which Western medicine may call psychosis, you know? But there's a great TED Talk, Psychosis or Spiritual Awakening, where this anthropologist goes all over the world and meets with these different tribes and determines that only in Western society do we relegate these psychotic experiences to be a medical condition, where in other societies it's shamanistic and you're taken under the wing and trained on these gifts. I'm not saying I'm destined to be a shaman, but I'm saying these are experiences that people have had and have written about religiously, spiritually for a long time.
Yes.
And for me, that's what it was.
Well, I mean, I had on my own very noticeable effects from the monoatomic gold. Remember that one of the first few days that I had started, taking I took it for a similar period of time, months, and you will
This is like spirit maxing.
slowly start to like realize these synchronicities, like this harmony, like you hit a harmonic with your life. And like I would say like parking spaces would open up. That in a packed parking lot, I would hit a series of green lights that doesn't even make any sense. I would be at the perfect place at the perfect time. Like I would be arriving and something would be being delivered to my doorstep that I needed, right? That I had no idea when the order was ever going to get there. Things would be all sold out except for I'd be in the grocery store and then it's in a different aisle on a different shelf. And the one thing that I thought they didn't have was right there. And I really wanted that. Or I would notice something that I forgot I needed, or any number, and like they're small but they stack. So it's like sometimes you get lucky, but sometimes it's like things like would almost like converge into like almost like a psychic in a Marvel movie or something, where like they're able to just like with their mind grab all of the things, and where they're cooking a whole meal and it's like they have 7 arms to cook the meal with.
It's the closest I've ever gotten to transurfing.
Yeah,
it feels like I'm transurfing reality.
Like you actually can like actively control the intention and see it manifest in reality very quickly. Now this is where it got so incredible, and there were obviously portals on portals opened when this happened, because I went to my friend's house who lives in upstate New York, and he was interested in monatomic gold. He had a very spiritual girlfriend at the time who had heard of it too, and I was going up to stay with him around the time of the eclipse, and that area was in the path of totality. So we were in a very charged environment anyway, and I came up a few days before the eclipse, and one of the first nights we were hanging out, I'm like, here, try some. Like we can both take some right now. And we were hanging out at a bar. I've been sober for a while too. And so he was drinking. I was having like some orange juice and club soda. His girlfriend was having some stuff. There was another buddy of his that we were all hanging out. And this is like, he's a local, and this is a place that he goes to a lot. And Like, he knows everybody, but like he's not like getting special treatment. He's not like a celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
And this was nuts because I think when you are using this and you're using it amongst people who are open and welcome to it and meant for it as well, the effects multiply.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was one of these moments where we were all done, we were going to head home, hang out, grab some dinner, etc. And he went to go close out at the bar, and he should have had a fairly hefty tab, and he's like, I'm going to get a beer and a shot for the road, whatever. And so he orders that, and he's like, I want to close out. And the bartender was like, oh, you're all set. What do you mean, hun? Like, you want to just close out for these two? And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, for all the rest. He's like, this is it, hun. Like you're good. Like, and we looked at each other like, and I smiled, and it hit me, and I'm like, welcome to gold.
Yeah.
It was as if he had never ordered it was like the universe wrote us the check for the tab and was like, this is how this works.
Mm-hmm.
And you get these and oh man, like on that trip, at one point on the day of the eclipse, right before it was about to happen, we were hanging out. And I don't even remember how we got looking up in the sky. It was a cloudy day, actually. We couldn't really see it, but we experienced the darkness. But there was like this weird fucking object in the sky. And like, we were trying to zoom in on our cameras, and there was this dude with some foreign accent that was sitting alone at a table next to us. And he happened to have like this crazy camera on this Android phone and had already taken videos of what was clearly some sort of a UFO or a craft. And he's like, oh yes, this is obviously demons, this is blah, 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 blah.
What a great side character.
Completely unnatural, blah. And we were like, oh my God, this is one of those, like, this, who knows what dimension this guy's from. But we see a UFO.
Just visiting.
By the way, right after, I remember what drew our attention to this guy. Giant military planes flew over first.
No way.
So giant military planes, like the big B-52 size, like carrier planes, flew overhead, and then there's like a weird little duod craft that, because like this dude had zoomed in on it to the point where you could see these little weird orbiting orbs that were way the fuck up in the sky, and then you have a dude with some sort of like not Middle Eastern, Eastern European accent, just like, oh yes, so like he was sent there to monitor the situation or something.
Whoa.
And like that's what I'm saying is like when you are with people with the monoatomic gold, the wildness, the truth is stranger than fiction of reality really starts to split open and flower and bloom.
Wow.
But I want to get back to a few more of these tweets about the blessed water. Mm-hmm. First of all, monoatomic gold, if you're drawn to it, it chooses you. You don't choose it. If you feel the need, I mean, you can find it on Amazon. Go ahead.
Good too.
I didn't think of Etsy. I've never even looked.
Etsy's good for that.
The stuff I get, Four Realms, it's on Amazon. You'll know. So there are a couple of the other things I had picked out. Making huge breakthroughs on blessed water. New thread coming soon, fully explaining the mechanism behind it in a tentative but satisfactory way. You're going to like this. And considering how well our anecdotal experiences so far align with historical accounts of blessed water, I would conservatively say the chance it results in biblical lifespans is at least 10%. It could be the greatest invention of all time. I will teach you how to do it.
I'll take those odds. And
he talks about analog social media. The devil hides in plain sight. It's in the positive side of every battery. The greatest PDF of all time is 100 pages and growing quickly. Soon.
That's something he's working on?
Yeah.
Wow. This guy's on, I mean, this excites me.
Yeah. So I said I was going to close this out with some of his, how does he refer to this exactly? The Parascientific Compendium V0.88. So the top, above the top of the iceberg is the celestial. The Battle of LA. We could actually have a lot of good episode ideas
Yeah,
from this.
absolutely.
Secret Space Program, 17-second seismic waves in 2018. Bluer sky equals more orgone. Conjure rain with cloudbusters. Washington D.C. UFOs, and then you have wisdom. Your mind knows nothing. Your gut knows everything. The mind lives in doubt. The heart lives in trust. Nature is symbiosis, not competition. Almost all quote unquote hygiene is detrimental. Your life is a story. Be a good protagonist. Time. Time is not linear. Time is local. Your heart is prescient. Precognition. Anticipation 1 through 10s before stimuli. Precognitive remote perception. Delayed choice quantum eraser. Tachyons. Oh my gosh. Instantaneous entanglement.
Where are we on the iceberg right
This
now?
is time.
Okay.
Now, below time is life. Measure life force. Heliogenosis. LM4. The Ebner effect. The Lazarus effect. DNA has words and grammar. Whoa. YouTube. Bion biogenesis. Plants draw energy from each other. Salamander frog transmogrifying laser. Oh my god. Yeah. Metaphysics is the next one down.
Can we get a transmagnifier laser off Alibaba?
Moldavite. Try it and you'll see. I have. The 3 times I've had it, the 2 times I've had it before, I have some now. I have a ring and a pendant. My life exploded. It's the 2 times I've had to go to long-term rehab and treatment. I had orgonite in my life. It blew everything away.
So the thing with moldavite, so people know, is like it's a crystal, and you have it when you're willing to invite seismic change into your life. You're gonna have friendships get destroyed, whatever things happen.
Yes.
When you take custody of moldavite.
Correct.
I've not been brave enough to do it myself, but you were saying
the 3rd time's a charm. I've made it through. The ring that you used to see me wearing a lot, that was a moldavite ring.
People report having it disappear after they're done with it.
Weird story. I actually was hanging out with a girl once who was bad news. I had a orgonite moldavite pendant, and she had asked to wear it. At a certain point, I'm looking at her.
She turned into a puddle.
She's in the doorway, and I'm sitting in a chair. There's 10 feet plus between us. All of a sudden, I feel a little on my chest. The pendant appears around my fucking neck.
No way.
And I looked at her. I'm like, "Did you give this back to me?" And it's almost like she didn't hear me. And she left the room. Later on, she's like, "Wait a second. When did you take this back from me?"
Come on.
She didn't even realize it until even later. And I'm like, I don't know. It kind of just came back. So
Goosebumps.
This is I'm not. And like I haven't had like a huge manic episode in a long time, so there's no delusional.
Yeah, no, I believe
that
you,
was
man.
just.
I don't want to go back to rehab. That's why I don't want to get the whole way.
But intuition amplified by full moon. It's a full moon tonight, I believe. We're in that full moon. 33-day solar rotation affects psyche, time, radioactive decay, dream telepathy. IQ is contagious. That's cool. I'm getting a call.
That's our FBI agent.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
Hold it right there, Bucko.
So, then physics, we have Tesla's forgotten inventions, the magnetic atom, the second law of thermodynamics disproven, monatomic metals exist. So ether drift exists, gravitational shielding, and then body. Biophotons, iris reflects health, microchimerism, binaural beats treat addiction. Trauma is hereditary. Tension equals unexpressed emotion. Gain strength with thoughts. And then health. Eggs equals shampoo. Borosilicate frying pan. Chlorine dioxide. Raw milk. Raw farm eggs. Grounding sheets. Eat with hands. PUFA or polyunsaturated fat equals poison. Rife machine. Magnesium chloride, Nigella sativa, pine pollen, dead sea salt, heal cavities. So yeah, I mean, there's shower water filter. What else? No light bulbs, only candles. So some of them are more feasible than others. Yeah. But that would be if I could in the future maybe the podcast takes off, and we strike with a few other things, and we can have homes that we light exclusively with
like a castle.
candles. Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, this man is brilliant. Ngolo, he's at NG. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. It is at NGOLOTESLA Ngolo Tesla on Twitter. Maybe check out his store too, the healthiest website. But he's always blown me away. And
That's mind blowing stuff,
yeah,
man.
I just I love to. That's the world I want to live in. That's the reality I choose.
Totally.
To,
We
like,
could pull a Billy
build-
McFarland and just be like, we're building a castle that's going to be lit by candles.
Castle party,
Yeah.
candle only castle party, and then invite
Eat with our hands.
and Michael Jackson is headlining.
And Steve Jobs is giving a lecture.
Yes, and Jeffrey Epstein is announcer.
Wow. Well, that was an awesome chat.
Yeah.
An episode. We're at an hour 35 here.
So we're
pretty good.
we're doing 1.5s now.
Don't we? I'm going up, Mom.
Woo! I don't want to clap in front of that. I don't know how we're doing with the microphone.
Any final thoughts or imparting wisdom?
Never doom, never black pill, always white pill. Stay positive, and wake up every day. Train yourself to say thank you for something or be grateful for something. That has always been one of the most meaningful shit. Every time I've seen my life get better and better, try to wake up. It's hard to do. Really weird, odd practice to train your brain to start immediately doing something. But the thing I like to say is my world takes care of me. It's from transurfing.
I love that.
Yeah.
I would say, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I've done the gratitude journal. I would say learn to access some of that childlike wonder about the world. The world is magical. There's a lot of shit that goes on. There's McMahon Elementary School, stuff like that. But try occasionally to not take everything so seriously and disconnect and sit in the fact that you are here incarnate, a spiritual being incarnated on earth who has the privilege and gift of experiencing life and experiencing the pits and peaks of human emotion, the connections with other people, the serendipitous meetings with Secret Service agents, and just life is an adventure. And this is Harry Potter, and just remember that.
Yes, yeah. And remember, Voldemort will be defeated.
Absolutely, every time.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Sayonara.
Until next time. See you guys.